Well, I first got involved with Max Roach by listening to Charlie Parker. So, with Charlie Parker, of course, Dizzy Gillespie, and later I think the group that was in my generational time was Charlie Parker and Miles Davis, and Max Roach, and Duke Jordan, Tommy Potter. That was sort of one of the groups that I remember. There was some differences. John Lewis played piano sometime and different, but basically that was the genesis. Well, I shouldn't say that genesis, that might not be the correct word, but that was the group that my generation, we were familiar with. Max, Miles, Tommy Potter, and probably Duke Jordan, So those were the guys. So that's how I knew Max. I knew Max as one of the guys that we, our guards, see. So, as I began practicing every day and all this and trying to get into that realm with these giants, I eventually came in contact with Max. But Max was always, like a huge figure to me. We were not contemporaries. That happens in music. People think, oh, Sonny, you're a contemporary with Monk. Well, no, I wasn't contemporary with Monk. Monk was 13 years older than I was. Max was about 6 years older than I was. See, and in those days, when you're coming up, that's a big difference. Even 2 years could be a big difference. Anyway, Max, of course, was our favorite drummer. Max was here because Charlie Parker and Max, and that was our top. At that time, there were two drummers in the jazz community, Art Blakey and Max Roach. Now, people like Art Blakey, for his earthiness, I guess you might say. And they liked Max because Max had all of the technical skills, And, he was just Max Roach. Max was a very influential player. He had countless young guys trying to be Max Roach, a lot of them. A lot of drummers, everybody was trying to look like Max, play like Max. We was just an army of people like that. More so than Art Blakey, but these were the two people, Max and Art and Max. So anyway, I finally got a chance to make a record with Max. I think it was with Miles Davis, a long time. I really forget, but some of Max's disciples who I grew up with told him I had written a song, so they took this song and said, hey, Max, look, there's this young guy lived, up around us. Listen to this song you wrote. So Max listened to it, I guess, and they, hey, gee, who is this young guy, So eventually I got to meet Max, of course, and we got to play together. But Max was a god to me. He was not somebody that I hung out with. See, I didn't hang out with Max. Max was older than me, more experienced than me, and so on and so forth. But he was my brother. He was my brother in more ways than one. When I went down, when I was playing with Max and Brownie, and I went down, Max had us down to his family home in North Carolina. I forget the city. But at any rate, so we were down there and we, met Max's family, all his family and everything. So Max's grandmother told me, Sonny, you look just like Max's older brother who had passed away. She said, you look just like Max's older brother. So that was kind of, so when I say we were brothers, there's a brothers in many ways, So anyway, that was sort of nice to hear that. And we had a nice, I think it was Elizabeth City, North Carolina. That's where Max's family was from. Okay, so that was great. And then, of course, I had a chance when Max Roach and Clifford Brown came to Chicago, and their Harold Land, their tenor player, had to leave the band for a while. And then I got hired in the band. So that began a very fruitful period for me, playing with Clifford Brown and playing with those guys was a really great. Richie Powell, Bud Powell's younger brother. So that was really a wonderful, wonderful period in my life. The great Clifford Brown and I became really tight, really tight. In fact, Clifford's wife, some years ago, I played down at the Clifford Brown Festival in Wilmington, which was where Brownie was from. So I was playing, so after the concert, LaRue, which is Brownie's wife, she came up to me and she said, Sonny, you and Brownie had a really special thing going on. Brownie's, whatever it was told me, and, said, so that I really was touched and moved by that because I loved him so much as a musician. He was such a perfect guy, unassuming, self-effacing, everything, and played so great. Just a really beautiful human being, see? So everybody loved Brownie. I mean, when Brownie got in that accident, Max and myself and George, other guys, we were crying like babies, I remember, over at, there was a fellow named Prophet Jennings. We were at his house in Detroit. And boy, I'm telling you, we were all just crying like babies, just couldn't stop thinking about Brownie. And, Richie too, of course. But Brownie was, the guy. But the accident, yeah, everybody. But anyway, so through Max, because I didn't know Brownie. Well, I met Brownie. I did meet Brownie in New York when he and I think Lou Donaldson were recording one of the songs I wrote a long time ago, and I came by to the record session, and I met Brownie, But I didn't really, that was just once. But anyway, we finally got to play together, and So all of that is through Max. Max knew me. The other guys in the band didn't know me. I didn't really know Richie. Richie knew Jackie McLean more. They were closer in age and everything. So Max Roach played a very important part, I would say, in my musical career, you know. And also, Max sort of always, and this is strange because I was younger, as I told you. I was, 6 years or something like that, Max's junior. But Max always looked to me like I was maybe his older brother, like his grandmother said. You know, and I was sort of, in many ways, you know, we'd go into some place and Max would sort of defer to me and like this. It was really unusual.
There was a roach named Maxwell, a most unusual roach. He could fly, having been born with wings, and he played the drums of all things. He made his way up to the big city. There he hooked up with some other bugs. There was a yard bug. He flew up from Kansas City. And brother, he could play blues on alto like you never heard. They nicknamed him the Bird. There was a bed bug from Cheraw, South Carolina, named Burks. And man, he could play notes on trumpet that would really make you dizzy. Then there was the loneliest bug. You know, to my mind, he was the strangest bug of all. Played piano, wrote music off the wall. Now they say he was born around midnight, and I don't doubt that at all. So these plus some other creatures, they used to congregate in a spot in Harlem called the Uptown Bug House. And man, they created some of the damnedest sounds you ever heard. Soon the other insects spread the word. They proclaimed, a new music is born. Bebop it was called. And you know what? It caught on like wildfire. Grasshoppers, they did the Lindy to it. The jitterbugs waltzed to it. And bugs and roaches came crawling from all over because they wanted to learn it. But actually, you had to earn it. Now society, downtown that is, got word that Harlem was being overrun, infested as it were, with bugs and roaches creating strange new sounds, and decided we must eliminate the creatures lest they filter downtown. So they sent the exterminators, and the exterminators came with pesticides, insecticides, Black Flag, Roach Motel, and others. And they sprayed and they sprayed and they kept on spraying. But these creatures, they were another breed because they prayed and they prayed and they kept on playing. Now do you hear what I'm saying? Instead of dying, they just kept multiplying. So then society decided to bring in the big rock to crush them. Well, let me tell you, it did slow them down quite a bit because they all couldn't survive it. It even left Max in Poco Loco. Couldn't kill Burks, they just made him stronger. Now Thelonious, I'm told, is hidden away in a wall to last a bit longer. The yard bug flew onto the higher ground, but what he left us will always be around. Max, I'm happy to say, is alive and well, playing the song that could not quell, Bebop, forever.